to my YouTube channel. I haven't posted on here in absolutely ages and I do apologise for that, but I wanted to come up with a good concept before I was going to post anything, and today I think I've got the perfect video to kickstart my YouTube again. Sometimes it's so difficult when you're looking for something from a particular brand, but they have so many of the same thing, like white t-shirts, black t-shirts, white crop tops, or black coats. Zara is a very popular place to get your winter coat, so I thought why not buy all of the black wool coats from Zara and let's review them. So I spent £500 buying every single wool coat on Zara, and we're gonna rate them from worst to best. At number 7 and scoring the lowest is the soft button coat. Now, I'm not surprised that this is the lowest because it was the cheapest, and you know, that doesn't always mean that that would be the worst thing. But in this haul, it definitely is the worst, and I'm going to explain why. You can also see on the side me trying the coat on so you can see what it looks like. Things that I didn't like about this coat the most were, firstly, the material feels very, very, very cheap. It's all polyester, which isn't really shocking considering it obviously is Zara and it obviously is fast fashion. But this coat also, the cut of it, it doesn't make any sense. When you put the coat on and you do the coat up, the pockets will stick out because there isn't enough material around the bum area. So it's very unflattering, and you can just tell it's been cut in a very unflattering shape. Considering it is very, very cheap, if you wanted a very cheap option for a coat, I mean, it would be good in that sense, but it's very fitted as well. So if you wanted to put knitwear underneath it and layer things, then you would really need to get a much bigger size. And I got this in my usual size and it was still much too tight. So I do think that the sizing on this coat is a little bit off. One of the good things though about this coat is that the pockets are already open. That is something that I particularly hate. It's a pet peeve of mine when you get a coat and the pockets are closed up. I know you can undo them and stuff, but it's just so much nicer of an experience to try a coat on when the pockets are already undone. But as you can see here, there's already string coming off. I mean, look, this is a loose string. If I just pull it, that's gonna undo. So this coat is not fully finished, and I can see why it's priced at £29.99. Adding to the things that I don't like about this coat, I also personally prefer a much longer coat. This coat is actually quite cropped. I'm actually small anyways, but if you were a bit taller than me, I can imagine it may even become above your knees, which I think for a coat is actually a little bit strange. I think if you're getting a wool coat like this for winter, you probably want it to become below your knees, and if anything, like as near to your ankles as... And I think a coat that comes nearer to your ankles actually looks a lot more chic, especially if you were gonna wear heeled boots with it, for example. Do I recommend this coat? No, I think for your money you could get something a lot better, and it may be worth spending an extra £20 for something that is a little bit better. Some of the other coats that we have in this haul are a lot better for your money. Next up at number 6 is the contrast coat with a detachable hoodie. Now, I just think the idea for this coat is personally very, very strange. I do understand the idea behind it with people like having that look of a hoodie underneath, and the fact that it's detachable, I guess, makes that easy. But wouldn't it be more easy just to have a nice coat that you can put your own hoodie underneath? I just think this is a little bit strange. Also, the hoodie detail itself is very, very cheap looking. I think the detachable element is quite cool in the sense that I haven't seen it a lot. However, I don't think it's the most practical, because imagine that you suddenly lose this side of the hoodie, or you lose the random cuff detail and then you only have one side. It then kind of makes the whole thing redundant. Hoodie aside, this actual coat is a lot thicker than the last one, so I do think it would keep you warmer. As you can see, it is pretty thick, but again, I personally don't like the feel of it. I just think it feels very, very cheap. Again, when it's done up, it doesn't look the most attractive. It's not fitted very, very well. And so for this reason, that's why it scored one of the lowest. Again, like the last one, it's also very, very cropped, which I personally just don't like. I know that is personal preference, but I do think in general, like the long line coats and the longer coats are more in, and I see a lot more people wearing them. I just think they look a lot more chic, whereas when they're cropped, I just think they automatically look a little bit cheaper as well. The fact that this coat is priced at £69.99 is actual madness to me. That is so expensive for a coat that looks incredibly cheap and is pretty much all polyester. This coat is obviously meant to give the effect of a wool coat and look like a wool coat. It is in effect actually just 100% polyester. But I include it in my haul because this is the kind of coat that they're trying to sell to people to look like wool, but it isn't actually wool. For £69.99, please buy something else. This is not worth your money. At number 5, we have the weird hooded coat. Now, I totally understand why Zara have created this coat. It makes sense to have a black wool coat with a hood and with a belt, just so there's some diversity, because a lot of them are exactly the same. However, in effect, this just doesn't work. You'll see that the hooded detail is not cut properly. It makes you look like some kind of creature from Star Wars or a Dementor from Harry Potter. I don't think people would actually wear this coat for its intended purpose because the hood looks ridiculous. What is this, Zara? I do personally like the added belt detail. I think having a belt on a coat is quite nice. It makes it feel a little bit more like a trench, if that's what you like. But this belt itself feels so cheap and flimsy. And when you try and tie it up, it just doesn't even tie up properly because it's made so cheaply. Maybe you can see here that the material is super, super felty, thin. And honestly, it feels very rough in your hands. Again, this coat is 100% polyester, so it's made to look like wool, but it isn't wool. On top of that, I've scored it at one of the lowest because I just think it looks really cheap on again. I think it's cheaply cut again. It's priced $49.99, so essentially you're paying £50 again for a coat that actually is just as shit as a $29.99 one, but they've just added a hood and a belt to try and dupe you into paying £20 more. Now we're getting into our top four. So this coat is actually very similar to what's at number 3. The only proper difference between them is the length. And as you know, I've already said, I really like a coat that's a little bit longer. This coat is extremely cropped. But what is nice about this coat is we've suddenly got a very different material to the cheaper coats. So this is $89.99. So this coat is a lot more steep. However, the reason for that is because it is now 51% wool, the rest is polyester and a few other materials, but at least we finally have some wool in there. Do I think it's worth $89.99? No. I think that price point is still ridiculous. I probably would put it around maybe like £65, especially for the length of it. You don't even get that much material with this coat. But I do think it feels suddenly a bit more expensive. But for me, the problem with this coat, even though it does actually have some wool in it, is it's so thin. It's so thin. I don't know if you can see here how thin this is, but this is honestly nearly paper thin. And I'm sure with the wool, it would keep you warmer. However, I am just someone that likes a much heavier coat. And this for me just feels much too light and much too thin for me to actually stay warm. But that is just a personal preference, and I think if you do like a coat that has like this nice soft velvety feel like this does, then this could be a better coat for you. But I have to say for $89.99, I don't think it's the most practical, because I think if it rains, this is going to soak up all of the rain straight away. It has that kind of velvety, suede-y feel to it that I think it would just get absolutely ruined straight away. And I think for $89.99, it's still quite a bit of a letdown. Yes, there might be 51% wool, but still things like even the pocket details, to me, it looks super cheap. I know this is Zara, but I still think this looks extremely cheap. $89.99. That's a lot of money for a coat, and you're still getting these pocket details like this from the side that are also closed up. And honestly, from the front, this could still be the $29.99 coat. We finally made it to our top 3. Yay! Next up, we have this wool coat. This coat actually does have wool again. This one actually has a little tiny bit more than the last one, so 53% when the last one was 51%. See what you're doing there, Zara. This coat again is $89.99. Now, the reason I put this at number 3 and not at number 4 like the last one is because this one is longer. I like the length of this. They give you more material, so essentially you're getting more for your money, when the last one was exactly the same price, which doesn't make sense to me. Again, this has the similar kind of velvety feel to the last one, but it just feels like it has a little more substance to it. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but it just feels like it does. Also, this one feels a tiny bit more oversized than the last one, which I think is good because that means you can fit more knitwear under it, more layering, and it's just perfect for winter. Now, something I do also like on this coat compared to the last one, for the same price, I think the pocket detailing is so much nicer. You have these cute little diagonal pockets, and I think this just looks more expensive than the last one, and it's the same price. If it came down to it, I definitely think this could be a really nice coat. I think it would keep you very, very warm. However, it still wouldn't be my personal number 1 choice, just because this velvety feel material just isn't for me. At number 2, we have our first oversized coat. So of course this was going to be at one of the top for me. I just love an oversized fit. As well, I think that this coat just looks more expensive than the other one. Again, this is a blend of polyester, a little bit of wool, etc. Most of the coats at Zara are going to have polyester in them. But what I like about this coat is it has some density to it. It has some weight. And for me in winter, I like a coat with a bit of heaviness to it. Something that feels like when I have it on, I really feel like I have like a heavy blanket on me, because that's what ultimately always keeps me warm. Again, what's nice with this coat is I just think the fit of it looks really nice. You'll see on me here, I just think it looks really smart. You can imagine with some boots, etc., that it would look really great. If you're going to get a black coat under £100 at Zara, it should be a coat like this, because this is something that's timeless. It's going to go with absolutely everything. And it's not even priced that badly. It's $79.99. Okay, so it's a little bit more cheap than the other ones that we had previously. But I mean, I think for $79.99, it's quite a nice coat. I've just personally rated this coat so highly because of the fit mostly. I just think it looks really nice. I think it feels nice on. I didn't put it at number one because I do find this to be a little bit itchy around the neck. However, I do think most of the time you'd be wearing knitwear, so you probably wouldn't feel that. You probably wouldn't have a bare neck, you'd have a scarf or something. But this coat is my number two. At number one, we have the soft oversized coat, priced at $69.99. Now, the reason that I've chosen this coat as my number one is not necessarily because of the materials. It's nothing to do with that. It's the fit of it and how it feels on. Again, like the last one, it has some density to it, some weight. So automatically that feels a little bit more expensive, and it looks a bit more expensive when it's on. One of the winning details for me on this coat is the cuffs. I think this automatically just makes it look a little bit more expensive. And we are looking for a coat here for under £100. This coat is priced at $69.99, which is actually quite a reasonable price. It's not too expensive. It's a lot better than some of the cheaper ones that we've looked at. And also some of the ones that were like $89.99 are definitely not worth the money either. So I think this is a really good medium one. Okay, so that's it for rating the Zara coats under £100. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I thought this was a really cool concept for a video. It does take a lot of work to do, but it's worth it to help you guys. If there's anything else you guys want to see me rate out of 10, like all of the black t-shirts from somewhere or all the white t-shirts, let me know in the comment section what you want to see next, and I will try and make it happen. Mwah!